Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to Premier League Predictions Week 11. How are you, Sophie?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Before we get into today's video, just a reminder, your support has been fantastic on these videos. We're going to raise the roof one more time. 1,500 likes, Sophie. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. That's the biggest target we've ever set. Do make sure to drop a thumbs up. I'm sure we can hit that target.
Of course we can.
And do make sure, of course, while you're there, to subscribe, as we are pushing for 50,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. So please do make sure to like and subscribe. In last week's prediction, Sophie, I did just about get the better of you, 8-7. But you're still in front because your predictions have been better overall this season. But I closed the gap by 1 point.
Yeah, big point.
Big point. Guys, if you think your predictions are better than ours, do share your predictions down below. On to the Premier League predictions now. We're going to start at Craven Cottage, Sophie, where Fulham host the Red Devils Manchester United. I tell you what, Soph, I'll make this one very even. I don't think there's a lot in this, to be honest. You know, if I think back to 10, 15 years ago when I was a lot younger, this game I would have thought Manchester United would steamroll quite easily. But Fulham have established themselves in the Premier League now. They got a very decent draw at Brighton last week, 1-1. Yeah, decent 1-1 draw coming from behind. We didn't tip them to get anything there, so fair play to them. Manchester United, we did both back them to lose to Man City. We didn't get it spot on because Man United lost 3-0.
Yes.
Deary me. I'll tell you what, Soph, I said I think this game is even, and I'm going to go down the middle on this one. I can see Man United losing it. I could also see them possibly winning it by 1 goal. I think it's that kind of game, isn't it? Man United might sneak it. But I do think Fulham are a tough team to come up against. They've established themselves well, and I'm going to go 1-1.
Yeah, after Man United's performance against Man City, not just the scoreline, but the performance, I'm going to back Fulham here. Fulham have got a little bit more about them. 2-1.
Fulham have got more about them.
They do, yeah.
How have we got to this point with Manchester United, by the way?
Ask them.
Ask them, yeah. Man United fans, feel free to share your thoughts down below because I don't think Sophie's being too outlandish by backing Fulham there. On to the next one then, Sophie, and we're going to stay in West London where Brentford host West Ham United. Now, Brentford, Sophie, brilliant result, going away to Stamford Bridge, and they did a job.
They did a great job.
They did a fantastic job. And a couple of results they've strung together now in the Premier League after a bit of a shaky start where people were thinking, oh, look at them down there. They've recovered and they're back in the middle of the pack. I never thought it was a concern for Brentford to be, you know, far down the table. They were always going to recover. They're a solid team and a great win against Chelsea last week. West Ham United, on the other hand, they have had a good start to the season, but they lost 1-0 at home to Everton. Now, we'll give Everton a lot of credit for that one, but West Ham will have, you know, seen that as...
That's not a good result.
Yeah, it's a terrible result. Even if they'd have drawn it, I think that's quite a negative result for West Ham. So I think I lean towards Brentford here. West Ham United could just suddenly turn up now and make me look stupid, but if we're going on previous results, you've got to go Brentford, and I'm going to back them 2-1.
I'm going to say 2-0. I thought the performance West Ham put in against Everton was a little bit concerning, to be honest. As you say, they could now turn up in this one, playing against a little bit better opposition. Sometimes it is easier as they're a little bit more open. However, I see Brentford picking them apart fairly easily. Another 2-0.
Another 2-0. Wow. Okay, next up, Sophie, we'll go up to Turf Moor, where Burnley take on Crystal Palace. Now, this one, a little bit difficult to put your finger on because neither team have been stringing together successive good results. Palace... I don't know. I mean, they have had a couple of difficult games. They went away to Newcastle. They lost 4-0. They played Tottenham at home. And although the 2-1 may not look terrible on paper, Palace weren't very good until the last 10-15 minutes anyway. So, I don't know. Burnley, on the other hand, they lost a big 6-pointer at AFC Bournemouth last week in the Premier League. They took the lead. And, you know, they threw it away. A silly mistake, really, from Trafford being that far off his line.
Yeah, daft.
But then again, Burnley will claim they should have got something. They did equalise late on for that to be disallowed. Bit of a suspect one, apparently. Really difficult, this, Soph. I do think the more established Premier League team might just pinch it, but I do think once again this one could be close. I think Crystal Palace and Burnley both need to get back to winning ways. I'm going to go with the Eagles. Burnley 1, Palace 2.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a class difference here between Burnley and Crystal Palace. As you say, Crystal Palace are the more established Premier League side. Burnley, it's not looking that good so far, and a couple of the fans are turning on the manager, but I don't see why you'd sack him at this point. It's a very, very hard job he's got on his hands. This is a game that could be classed as winnable, but I don't see them doing it. So for me, Palace win this, but it's going to be tight, I think. 1-0 Palace.
You go 1-0 Crystal Palace. Interesting. Okay, next up, Sophie, we're going to go to Merseyside, and it's Everton taking on Brighton. Now, both sides played on the Sunday last week in the Premier League. Brighton only managed the 1-1 draw at home to Fulham, so they'll be looking to go back to winning ways. But Everton were the winners on Sunday at the London Stadium. They beat West Ham 1-0, and that is a massive result. I've already said about the relegation battle this season that it looks like a very low quality one, and it could be a low tide to stay up this season.
Yes.
So the more points you chuck on, absolutely got a very good chance of staying up. And Everton, although they're still about 14th or 15th, look streets ahead of the 3 newly promoted teams at the moment, at least in the table anyway, because I know they lost to Luton Town in obviously a game at Goodison Park. This is difficult, Sophie. Brighton have the ability to rock up here and win 3-0. But I'm going to reward Everton for their good performance last week and say they might get a draw here. I'm going to go down the middle and say 1-1.
I'm going to go down the middle, but I'm going to say 0-0. I feel like it's going to be a really frustrating stalemate, but Everton will be happy with that. Brighton, they've not looked at their best, so they need to bounce back, but I see Everton making this a really, really difficult game for them. So both come away with a point. 0-0.
0-0. Sounds very
I don't often
exciting.
go for a 0-0.
I know, we should chuck more 0-0s in there, shouldn't we? Because they do come around fairly often, I suppose. There's at least one a week. Next up, Soph, we'll go to the Etihad. It's Manchester City versus AFC Bournemouth. I wonder what prices you get on predicting this to finish 0-0. This is an absolute free hit for AFC Bournemouth, and it was an absolutely massive result for them to beat Burnley last week.
It was.
Especially when they have this game coming next. You know, you need to win the big 6-pointer, and then you can be like, okay, the Man City game's a free
Damage
hit.
limitations, yeah.
That said, though, they can't just afford to flollop and do nothing whatsoever. They've got to come and compete, but ultimately, the quality of Man City is just going to be too strong. Man City did what they did. They schooled Manchester United. It's not the first time I've seen that happen. Man City just looks so much better than Man United, but we all knew that anyway. Man City 4. Bournemouth 1. I'll give Bournemouth a goal.
I was actually going to go for that same scoreline, so I'm going to have to switch it up and say Bournemouth now won't get a goal. But I could see a 4-1 coming in, just because Bournemouth put in a good performance against Burnley, came away with the 3 points, but different kettle of fish against Man City. Man City, they got a clean sheet against Man United. It's a tougher game for them. No, I'm joking.
Probably is.
It could genuinely be a tougher game, just because Bournemouth have more of like that team mentality rather than like just individuals going at it. I'm going to say Man City 3-0. They've just got that quality. They're very, very good. Play good football. They looked amazing against Man United. And I feel like they're going to get another good result this weekend. 3-0.
3-0 Man City. Interesting. Right, so let's go to Bramall Lane next. Sheffield United take on Wolves. Sheffield United still bottom. We're saying the same things every week. Still bottom, still just 1 point on the board. No wins, of course. Didn't expect them to win last week when they went away to Arsenal. We both backed Arsenal to win 3-0, and Arsenal actually won 5-0. It was very emphatic. Yeah. Ultimately, those games won't really be the ones that relegate Sheffield United. It's these games. If Sheffield United lose these games at home to a side mid-table. Now, when I say mid-table, I'm not being disrespectful, because I like Wolves and I really like the form they're in. Yep. I've been backing them a lot of weeks to get something, and I'm going to back them to get the win here. Gary O'Neill is a good manager.
He is.
And he's been fantastic. When you think there was so much chaos at the start of the season for Wolves with Lopetegui and everything, and Gary O'Neill came in and they've been brilliant, especially recently. This is a massive opportunity, don't get me wrong, for Sheffield United. They're at home and they've got to win at some point. There's no easy games in the Premier League, but this is one they might think it's possible. But no, I'm going to go for the team that know how to win, and that's Wolves. I'll go for Sheffield United 1, Wolves 2.
Yeah, the only thing with Wolves is it looked like Neto picked up an injury last game, so I don't know how bad that is. So if he's going to be out for this one, it could be a miss. But Wolves coming up against Sheffield United, and Sheffield United are just looking so poor. So I can't not back a Wolves win here. Fairly easy 2-0.
Fairly easy 2-0.
Fairly easy 2-0, yeah.
Wow.
Wolves are looking good. Sheffield United are not, so 2-0.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's a bad shout, to be honest. Okay, next, Sophie. This is a really juicy matchup as we go to St James's Park. Newcastle United versus Arsenal. I like these matchups where you feel like these are two teams you back most weeks, and you can't back them both to win this one. If this was at the Emirates, I might slightly be leaning towards Arsenal. With it at Newcastle and their crowd on side, possibly a bit more difficult. Let me think back to last season. I believe it was actually a goalless draw between these two at Arsenal. But Arsenal actually won away at Newcastle, so interesting there. Newcastle United, they got the draw, didn't they, last week against Wolves. Arsenal, as we mentioned, beat Sheffield United 5-0. Arsenal's confidence will be flying, but Newcastle are such a good team as well. I'm going to go down the middle. It's a bit boring, sorry, but Newcastle 1, Arsenal 1.
I can see this being a bit of a goal fest, to be honest. Both teams have got that firepower. Look at Arsenal, just beat Sheffield United 5-0. But in fairness, Newcastle United beat them 8-0 earlier on in the season. So this could be a bit of a goal fest. Equally, they could cancel each other out. But I am actually going to lean towards the away side in this one, which I don't usually do when Newcastle are at home. 3-2.
Oh,
yeah, it's going to be a good game.
Wow, well, yeah, it does sound like a good game. Really difficult to call. Newcastle and Arsenal fans, do certainly share your thoughts down below. Really, really big matchup and a really good game I'm looking forward to. Next up, Sophie, we are going to a Midlands derby, I suppose. East versus West at the City Ground, where Nottingham Forest host Aston Villa. This is an interesting matchup. Two historic clubs, two European Cup winners, and at the moment they do look streets apart in the Premier League.
They do.
Let's be honest, Villa are now establishing themselves as not just a top 7 side, but a potentially top 6, top 5 side. Villa are looking good. I did back them to beat Luton 3-1, and I got that one right, thanks to Villa racing into a 3-0 lead and then
scoring for them as well. Why did you do that?
Scoring a brilliant own goal. Brilliant bit of head tennis between the Villa players. Nottingham Forest, Sophie, I watched them play Liverpool. They were just outclassed.
Yes.
You can't read too much into those games, of course, because Liverpool are a very strong team, but Forest didn't put up enough fight until the last 5-10 minutes. But this is at the City Ground, Sophie. It's at the City Ground. Forest can get more results at the City Ground, and I think this could be close, but I'm going to go with Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa just sneak this one. They just keep finding a way. So I'm going to go Forest 1, Villa 2.
See, I'm going to go harsh here. I feel like this could be quite convincing. Nottingham Forest, they didn't put up enough of a fight against Liverpool. Villa on their day are very, very good as well, so it could be a bit of a drubbing. I will say Nottingham Forest, they are better at home, so I can see why you've gone for a tight one, but I'm going to have to disagree. Villa 3-0.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, they've got it in their locker though.
Well, they certainly do, but wow, interesting. Forest fans, do share your thoughts. The results haven't been great. No wins in 6 for you. Villa fans, the form is looking very good. Share your thoughts down below as well. On to the next one, Sophie. Kenilworth Road, Luton Town host Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp at Kenilworth Road. Isn't it brilliant?
I love it.
Do you know what, Sophie? Luton Town are still giving it a go. Because Bournemouth won last weekend in the big 6-pointer against Burnley, Luton have now dropped back into the bottom 3, and they have got some difficult games coming, but they've just picked up a few points here and there to keep them in contention, and when they are playing the top teams, I don't think they're actually totally disgracing themselves. 3-1 at Villa is actually not a terrible score.
It's not.
I think it could be 3-1 again here. Liverpool are looking pretty strong in the Premier League, Sophie.
Yeah.
I really want to see Liverpool involved in a title race.
Yeah.
I want there to be all 4 of those top 4 in the title race. That'd be great to see. And Liverpool, as I say, looked very good against Nottingham Forest, so I think they win this 3-1. Luton, it's a free hit for you guys, but we'll see. Like I say, some big tough games coming, but maybe still got a chance.
I'm actually going to give Luton Town a goal here, and I think it could be that man Adebayo again. He's looking pretty good, to be honest. But they are coming up against Liverpool, who are looking very good right now. And as you say, I want them to be in the title race. I want it to be a lot closer this year. 4-1 Liverpool.
4-1.
Yeah.
Both going Liverpool, quite convincing. But let's see if Luton Town could stay in that game. It could be interesting. 1 game left, Sophie. It's a fascinating one as Tottenham Hotspur take on Chelsea. Do you know what? It's a shame that Chelsea's form's sort of dropped a bit with that result against Brentford.
Yes.
I suppose it's one game, but if they'd have won that game, they could come into this thinking, we could give this a real go. But for me, I feel pretty confident Tottenham should win this.
Yeah.
Chelsea they remind me a little bit of Coventry, actually. They've got a couple of good players and they play some good stuff, but they just can't get the ball in the back of the net, and Brentford really did a job on them last week. Spurs, they just keep finding a way. It was a win at Palace last week, and the week before it was a win against Fulham. And this one, I think Tottenham actually win fairly convincingly. Chelsea, like I say, they're just struggling to put the ball in the back of the net, and Tottenham linking up nicely with the likes of Son, Maddison, Richarlison. And what about Big Ange, Sophie? Can he get them a real good finish this season?
Why not? He's doing it so far, isn't he? Just got to keep it going.
Absolutely. It's still, in my eyes, a tall order for Spurs to win the league, but not impossible is what I would say. And I think they keep going with a good win here. Spurs 2, Chelsea 0.
Yeah, I agree. It seems that Chelsea without Mudryk are struggling. They didn't have him against Brentford. I don't think they're going to have him for this game. I'm not too sure how long he's out for, but he does seem a big miss for them at the moment, just the way they play. And I agree, they're struggling to put that ball in the back of the net. So I don't see them scoring against Spurs, and I'm going to back Spurs to get another 2-0 win.
Yeah, so we're both going Spurs 2-0. Yeah, I just feel pretty confident that kind of result will come through. There you go, guys. That's our Premier League predictions. Do make sure to share your Premier League predictions down in the comments. Like I say as well, please do make sure you've hit the thumbs up button. It is free to do. And if we hit 1,500 likes, that would be amazing. Make sure you are subscribed as well, as it's free to do. And you'll see all of our videos when they go out. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
We will see you all in the next one. Peace out. Thank you for watching yet another Premier League predictions video. Your support on these videos has been absolutely fantastic, and myself and Sophie do really appreciate all the support for everyone who likes our videos and subscribes to the channel. As you guys know that watch the channel, we do Premier League predictions, we do Championship predictions, we do Carabao Cup predictions, we do the FA Cup predictions when they roll around. I just wanted to make this short clip to thank you guys for your support and ask for your suggestions. What would you like to see next on the channel? We could possibly introduce the likes of Champions League or Europa League predictions to the channel as well. So I'm just putting it to you guys. Do share your thoughts, do keep your suggestions coming, and do keep your support coming. We love you all. Thank you to everyone who's liked and subscribed. We will see you all in the next one. Peace out.